I was not a huge fan. And look, and just before anybody beats us up, like I have a Z33, you have a Z32. It's not exactly like, you also have a G.
Yep.
It's not exactly like we're not like, into some of the Z legacy here, but I will tell you that I think Z31 probably is one of my least favorite vintages.
I could say it's probably one of the weakest of the heritage.
Yeah.
Not from an aesthetic standpoint. I think it was really cool for like that 80s style car.
It had a lot of tech in it for what the car was.
It did. Yeah. I actually had the digital dash. If anyone knows exactly where you were going with that.
My dad had one in '87. I think it was an 84 or 85. It was right around that year. So like obviously it was a 2+2. It was the non-turbo. It was an automatic. So I mean,
I had all that, but
way
I
to
was
go,
manual.
Dad! Easily the worst trim you could have picked up. But aside from that,
what color was it? Because I had the gold.
Black.
I had gold.
No, the color was
gold.
right.
I had the gold one.
The color's right. I think it's questionable on the interior with that beige crap.
I had the beige interior. Yep.
But there was a lot of things that were very cool about the tech in the car. The gauge cluster, the fact that they had a lot of that. Not just the gauge cluster on the dash. I'm talking about they had the 3 gauges off to the right.
Pods. Yep.
Yeah. And so I think that stuff was pretty cool. I even think that when they have there's something, and I get it a lot with the Mitsubishi, right? That undescribable, can't put your finger on it, but like it's an amber orange thing that they have, and all the way the dashes lights up and stuff like that.
Yeah, the glow.
Yeah,
the glow
but it's this the way everything is orange, but it's not really orange. It's like it's anyhow.
amber.
Yeah, but it gives you that, like, you get in the car and you're like, oh yeah, this is 80s.
Oh
like,
yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
no. So
yeah.
with that one, it had actually that's a great example of it. It was like a greenish blue in that car, which was what was a little bit different. It was almost like the Casio watch or whatever, like that
Yeah.
that color.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that. But that was a close contender. But to be fair to that car, I didn't really get an opportunity to drive it. I was in the middle of trying to get it on the road, fix it up, and go to college and work a part-time job. So it was more of it sat in the driveway and never really moved.
Got it. And so the Evo was something you were primarily driving.
Yep.
And you loved it so much.
I did. So I picked it up from a shop, and they had built it for me. It was kind of like...
Could I guess the shop if I had to?
You could.
I feel like... All right, go ahead. Keep going.
So regardless of that, so the shop built it for me. There was a lot of little problems with it.
Do you remember what any of those problems were?
Transmission leak. So the transmission was leaking. The seals on it were bad. Transfer case seals were bad.
They put the car together with all used parts?
Yes. So they put the car together with used components, which was fine. We kind of went into that knowing that, because I ended up picking up it was a really clean SSL Max. You can probably pull up pictures of it from my Instagram. It was super clean. I can't tell you that the car was pretty. The engine ran great.
But what was it? How did we get to a point with that car, if it's so clean, that they're using all these used parts?
So it was everything under the lipstick was a little rough. So wiring harness connections were
That's
brittle.
a super weird term, by the way, just so you know.
What?
Everything under the lipstick.
Yeah, lipstick on a pig. So
I understand. I'm just saying it's a super weird. I don't know
how I got there.
I don't know. I'm with you. Go ahead.
So it was there was a bunch of the connectors on the wiring harness loom were broken. So I'd be going down the road, and all of a sudden
one would come loose, and something would light comes on. The car doesn't function.
And then I'm stranded on the side of the road. Or the best one was the clips were broken on the cam position sensor crank position sensor.
So obviously the motor was out of the car.
Oh yeah, it was a shell. So the car started as a shell.
All right, it was a good shell that a shop probably had enough parts around that they said, we're going to put this car together. We got the shell cheap enough. It's a clean shell. We're going to make a car.
Yep.
We have a lot of parts.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
I immediately can think of 3 shops now that I've narrowed it down to. I feel like I know the one, but I'm getting out. With that said, so they put this car together, and they come out and they You go to see this car. Obviously, it looks great.
Yep.
Because it's clean shell.
Yep.
And they slap it on the hood and they say, mint condition car.
So, and no, that wasn't the case.
All right, fair.
They stood behind it. So one,
Like stood behind it pushing or like
more than once, but regardless, actually that's a joke, but I'm 100% serious. I think we did push it into the shop at least more than once.
Yeah.
So regardless, it did have Konig SSMs on it, just so you know.
Interesting.
18, 9.5 plus 25. So
all right.
I had those on there. So it was an interesting choice, but regardless of that, where was I going? I had to slip that in. I'm sorry.
Well, it had to be obviously like what we're talking about with this car constantly braking.
So they were really good about whenever there was a problem,
taking care of it.
I will give them that. What ended up kind of happening was I went down to ACO with them for Evo versus STI day. I drove.
Well, now I know who it is. Anyhow,
I drove down, and on the way down, the transmission started to hum. I immediately called them and was like, "Hey, I think the transmission's out of fluid, and it's starting to scream, and I'm gonna turn back." And he's like, "No, just come down. We'll take a look at it when it gets here. We'll put fluid in it if we have to." They were gonna jack it up right there. And
where are you at this point?
Jersey Turnpike.
All right, so you're pretty far.
Pretty far.
So this isn't like it's not like you just started out 40 minutes ago.
No.
Ago.
And as I said, they were good. Like it had just been at the shop not too long before that, because it had a no start condition because the crank sensor wasn't reading. So
because the harness was broke.
Because the harness was broken.
Yeah.
So I ended up. They repaired the harness. They did what they had to do.
Yeah.
Ended up going put a new pigtail on it. That type of thing. So I'm on my way there. They say, just get it here, get it there. They take it for a ride. I end up making a pass with the car. End up driving it home.
Wait, they checked it though, right?
Apparently. That's what I was told. So this car was not my doing. So everything was, so I have this habit of, if it's my responsibility, I will take care of it. But if somebody says they're going to handle it, I'm going to put my hands back and say, okay, you handle it until I have to step in. So I'm
going to say by the people that we're talking about here, that maybe wasn't the best advice for yourself.
No, it wasn't.
Maybe just a quick glance.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, like I know they said they were going to, let me just check.
Yeah. So I didn't follow up with it. I kind of just hung out and went with my friends and came back, made a pass to the car. It was quieter. So I assumed that they put fluid in it.
Right.
I wasn't still too sure about everything. I ended up driving it home, and I get it home. At the time, my now wife, at the time girlfriend, laid into me for driving the car instead of just towing it. So we ended up towing it to the shop. We ended up picking it up a couple days later. I'm driving the car, and the crib nut comes loose on the control arm, and the whole right side of the car gets wiped out on the side of the highway.
I had something like that happen to me with a 1G, right over coming off the Southern State over off of what road is that? Wellwood. Mm-hmm. I was coming up, like if you're going this way, you're going westbound, and you go to come back up on the Wellwood.
Loop. Yep.
Yeah. Go like this, and all of a sudden, there goes the wheel, and the car goes down, and there it is, and I was like,
So the worst part is I had like all really nice, the C West front lip and all the nice little goodies had, and everything was destroyed. The good thing I got it, and the only thing I could say about the shop is they did eventually buy the car back from me.
Oh, that's cool.
I kept the seats. Those are the seats in my Z. I have Evo seats in my Z from that car.
Cool. They're good seats, Recaros.
Yep. And they bought the car back. And they, it took them some time to come up with the money, but they did.
Listen, I can't say anything about that. That's a pretty admirable move.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So I'm not gonna knock him too hard. That's why I'm not really trying to tell you who it was, but
No, I kind of think I know what it is, but honestly, I think that's when you sum all that up, that's an admirable move, right? Seemed like they try to make every attempt and ultimately just said, hey, well,
yeah, and the mistake that was made with the suspension, the technician that did it, was man enough to come to me and say, he messed up, and that's why they were buying the car back and all that. So
if things happen, right?
I mean, listen, things happen.
To put the cotter ping back in or something like that, and it backs
whatever
off
it was,
and,
whatever it was at that time. As I said, they stood behind it. They did the right thing. I can't knock them for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But the experience with the car, nonetheless, does put it pretty
low on my list. Yeah, I mean, look, that's tough. I think to have a bad experience with a car that potentially could have been good. Now, I will say, for everybody that's out there going to say, nah, the Evos are all crap anyway. Well, here's the thing. DSMs and Evos, and I messed with those cars for a long time, right? Had a lot of DSMs. They were all kind of crap, but in different levels and proportions, right? The Mitsubishi build quality wasn't inherently great. A 4G63, I don't care what you say, it wasn't a great motor. Now, could it make a lot of power and could it do it fairly inexpensively? Absolutely. Yes.
I feel like it brute forces its way to that power.
It's just when you look at engines, or when you have the opportunity to start building some engines, when you have the opportunity to really mess with some other platforms, you'll realize just how crude the 4G63 was. I mean, the head design itself is just a crude design, all right? But they were some of the most fun cars for the dollar in their heyday than you could ever find, which is why I think I messed with them so much, right? I love building cars. I even since I got the VR4, I've done a lot of work to it.
Yeah.
Not measurable in the way that I think you'd measure work being done, right? For example, when you add parts to a car, you kind of increase its quote unquote build resume. Yeah. That's way people think of when they do work on the car. But I got this car that was sitting for a few years. So first thing I had to do is all the fluids had to get swapped out. I got to take everything apart. Switches didn't work. I mean, almost all the switches didn't work. That you can kind of push them around, they move, and just a lot of corrosion and different things like that. But the car's rust free.
Yeah.
Right. So that's fantastic. Had things like dents and a lot of cleaning that had to get done, and why doesn't this work? Having to go track it down and then ultimately figuring out, oh, it's because this harness or module somehow became unplugged, right? Stuff like that.
You had to teach yourself paintless dent removal in that time also, from what I understand.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody can see this. I got this burn on my finger because I've now convinced myself that I'm a paintless dent removal technician. I'm not, by the way, but I've done a pretty good job with the tools that I have for this that I bought specifically to get the dent out of the quarter panel on the VR4, because all these amazing PDR guys told me that they wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, they didn't want to burn their finger.
So and ultimately I ended up doing it. So now all of a sudden people are like, "Hey, you know how you can pull out those dents?" Well, so anyhow, I wasn't paying attention. I got hot glue on it, and the one thing about hot glue. The ones that they use for PDR is that it's very hot, right? It's hotter than your average glue. And the thing is, when you put it on a car, if you want to take the glue off, the release agent is isopropyl alcohol, right? When you burn yourself to the point where it's a continuous burn that won't stop, and when you try to take it off, it's a liquid. It's just kind of like you can't get it off, right? So the first thing I think of is I got to cool it to rip it off, and then I'm thinking the release agent, and I take that isopropyl alcohol and I just, and when I tell you, oh my God, it was awful, but it did cool the glue enough that I could peel it off. I mean, my skin came with it, but it's getting better. Anyhow, so yes, PDR. I did PDR. There's a lot of things I've had to learn, and some of the stuff I actually knew. I think you're okay.
Yeah, I just kicked your thing.
We kicked the audio thing. But I think that there's some things that I knew way back in the day, but I haven't touched in 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Evo Flash, Evo Scan, flashing ECUs.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, in premise, I remember a lot of tables and different things, but like the for a 3000 GT, like, you know, which plugs you had to plug in and unplug. Remember, the car is it's an OBD1 converted to OBD2 that is able to use. So like, you have a lot of different dingles and dangles that are, you know, supposed to be like, you know, used.
It's a lot easier today to just
this
plug
has
into,
to be grounded and
plug,
that has to be grounded.
This
has to be done and plug this cable in and do this, and then you have to make sure this is set so that you can just flash the ECU. So, and there's no instruction manual.
So is that the ready? Is that like a ready state you have to put in? I'm just wondering because I know on some of the older cars with OBD1 you had to put them into like what's called ready state, which meant the ECU was like in like a factory mode.
No, I don't think that's what it is. But there is this like I think it's called a Z-Link connection that goes to the ECU, and that's where they basically have to ground out a pin. So you could do it. In fact, what's interesting is, all right, so the person I bought it from, you know, I've known him for 15 years. So I knew when he said he was going to sell this car that I was going to take it, right? So I bought the car. I think I've talked about this a little bit here and there on different things. But like, what it was interesting about this car was that it's got a built engine. Right? But you know, built, and I say, oh, so what did you use when you built it? Oh, I don't remember. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't even necessarily know exactly what's in it. But like, what was fun for me was there was a lot of things I was preparing to go through on the whole car because it had been sitting for 3 years.
Yep.
And like, when, you know, switches, different things didn't work. Every step of the way, I got to a certain point, and I'd go to buy a part, and I'm like, oh, like I would. At first, I had bought a few parts. They come to the house, I go to put them in, and I realize when I go to put them in,
they're already done.
Yep. And then I realized that from now on, before I buy anything, I need to go look at the part first because there's a chance he changed it, and a lot of that stuff has been done. Now, it may be older, but it's done, right? So, you know, the car is, I got to tell you that I love the car. I love it. But it's got a built engine, has upgraded 15T turbos, it's got, you know, Evo injectors, it's got all the stuff to make some power. The issue to me was that the car was never tuned, okay? They scaled the injectors.
Oh, that's all it was?
That's all it was.
Okay.
So now I'm in the process of, I got to really get my flashing logging game together and try to get this car dialed in. So, you know, I've already done a lot of rescaling on the VE table, and then rescaling the MAF to be able to accept a higher level, because now I think the thing capped off at like 1600 hertz, but now like I'm already logging an area in the 2400 hertz.
This is why I like speed density. You don't have to deal with this.
Sure, and here's the thing with this, I can convert the thing to speed density.
Okay, so you can't. So
I can
with that ECU.
With that ECU,
okay,
I can. So it's got what they call a Jester Chrome ECU.
Okay.
So it's essentially a stock ECU that they've added some different doodads to, like in an EEPROM basis.
Yep.
I think we just lost half our audience because I'm talking about some stuff.
We went down a rabbit hole real quick.
Yeah, I get excited.
All the technical guys are still here, but everyone else left.
Everybody else left the chat. So I don't know. Anyhow, bottom line is, I think there's a lot of things that I think I did to that car, but I really love that car. And I would not have bought it if it wasn't coming from the owner that I knew that would have did the right thing. And he blew my expectations away on the things that he did, even when he didn't remember to tell me that he did them. Right? So good scenario there.
So
next car, probably not.
So my question really comes down to, since you got my worst car out of me, do you think that your VR4 is better than your Z?
They're very different.
Oh, I agree.
Like night and day different.
I agree, because this kind of brings me back to that question that you had for me a while back when we were discussing, when you said which of the the Zs, what do you like about the 350Z versus the 370, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to revise that slightly. I forgot about one car that I did work on that I really enjoyed. It was a 0304 DE with a HKS supercharger. Really simple setup, little roots, like vortex style, centrifugal supercharger, and it was so much fun. But the reason you great.
Like is and I kind of think I know where you're going, so I'm gonna guess, and then maybe I won't be wrong.
Okay, so guess.
Maybe What made that car really good, was it the fact that the power still felt so linear?
It felt snappy. Like the car felt that, once again, you just move the torque table up instead of having that waiting for boost to come in. But
well, but the car was a non-turbo car anyway. So if you would have driven the car, in just its base 6-cylinder form, do you feel like this was essentially like, if you had a graph that went like this, do you feel like this supercharger basically just moved it up, but it was the same curve?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what made the car so cool, right?
Exactly. And I very much enjoyed the fact. So I was able to just throw it around. It was light. So obviously, being the lighter of the Z chassis, that was really beneficial. And then having that really snappy response out of it. I mean, it really felt great.
That's what I think I love so much about my Z, because I have the Jim Wolf twin turbo kit on the car. That car is stupid linear. Like for a turbo car, there is no such thing as you couldn't feel when the turbos are in or not.
Gotcha.
Like that's how good it is, right? The fact that and Vinny 10 tuned the car. Obviously, I didn't know anything about 350Zs at the time when I bought that car, and they tuned it with they put up rev in there, and they tuned the car, and it is just, you cannot tell when the turbos come on. That's how good it is, right? It's that linear, and you pretty much have a good amount of power in almost every gear, even a 6th gear if you whatever. But like if you're going at a 6th gear speed,
you just roll it, slight roll, you roll in the throttle and the car will accelerate.
So the Z is, I will tell you the thing that's bothering me about the Z now that I have driven the 3000 so much, it's that I always thought that my Z was super comfortable. Okay, for I've owned the car for over 15 years. I always thought the Z was super comfortable. I get in it, I was very comfortable. Like, I've done a lot of modifications to the car. The car has a lot of modifications, but like they're tasteful, very OE plus type things. I always felt, for what it is, all right, maybe the suspension's a little stiff, but like this is still a comfortable car. I didn't realize how uncomfortable the car actually is until I got into the VR4 and realized how comfy that car is. Now, they are two different cars.
Yeah.
One is a sports car. The other one is a grand touring car.
Yep.
There's never going to be a time where, the VR4 even comes into the same element as whatever. It really puts into view, though, how different some of the grand touring cars can be, sport grand touring cars versus a really, really good sports car. I think it's given me a little bit more of a, wow, the Z is better than I thought it was performing-wise. Maybe I need to start getting it to the track, even though it's always been kind of the car that I didn't want to do that with, because it's only got 24,000 original miles. Everything's very clean, and it kind of like, maybe I need to go to the track, because the truth is it's good.
So I like the twin turbo idea over. So I've driven the big single turbo, the Treadstone kit.
I don't love them.
I don't like it. It's kind of fun once you're in power. It's great. It's fine for that. But when you're out of power, it definitely takes some time to get into power.
Yeah, I don't love that. And that was the unfortunate way that a lot of the DSM, especially as you went big turbo cars, were, right? Yeah. There was lag, and then that.
And actually, I think that's why I was so adamant about doing the GTR twin turbos on my 300, my Z project, because they're direct mount. They're essentially manifold based turbos, so you're spooling them really quick. They're small for what you get out of them, and I shouldn't have any problems on them. But I fully agree that doing that twin turbo and the grand touring aspect, I'm fully on board with. That's why I think I still love my ZX, because it has that same touring feel. Vibe. Yeah, it's that touring feel. Having the car be, I always make this joke that I don't like being able to touch my door panels at the same time. Now, coming from the guy who had the SRT4, I find that ironic, because I could definitely touch both door panels at the same time in that car. I could actually touch all 4 door panels at the same time in that car.
Yeah.
But, the Grand Touring car, I get that. So,
Yeah, I know, it's hard. It's hard, I also think I'm still in a good honeymoon period. So it's hard to Like, will I feel this way in a year? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe at that point I'll be so used to it. And there's, again, unfortunately, fortunately, another project coming. And, now with that many projects, I think, like, clearly, I only have a very limited amount of time. So driving the cars or whatever is good, even working on the cars.
Yeah,
now,
I don't know where you find the time because I don't have the time.
Like, honestly, the only times that I spend are like on the weekends, or everybody goes to sleep, and like, let's say I've decided like I'm not going to do any more work for the night. Like, I go in the garage and
with the new car, not to give too much away, but that selection, you have a sports car, you have a Grand Tourer, and now this other car, and it's like they're all different. They're all, they're all very different. They're all going to feel very different. They all have different driving positions, all different feels, all different, like
100%.
It's a completely different thing. And I think that's really interesting because, you're getting to experience different drives. Like, I know that sounds weird, but like,
no, that doesn't sound weird.
That's kind of where that to me has always been interesting.
Yeah. It's, I think it's interesting for me. And I think like, I've had a lot of people say to me, so what do? You to sell the Z? You to sell this car, whatever? And the truth is, like, I've said it before, like, I'm not building cars that, if I'm going to get a car that I'm going to sell, I'm not going to really have, like, it's not going to be around long, you know what I mean? But this is, I think, I'm going to keep all these cars, but you're right. They're just so different.
Yeah.
They're night and day different.
Yeah.
And, like, does it take a little, a few minutes of driving in each one before you feel acclimated again? 100%. But I will say that, each one, kind of does put a smile on my face for the most part. I think the thing that bothers me the most about the Z out of everything is the fact when I got the car, the guy had put a lot of money into it, exterior wise, right? It's got an Ings LX kit. It's got carbon square mirrors. It's got, a bunch of little, and it looks very OE plus, even though it's whatever. But the kit is very, very low, right?
Okay, yeah.
And
your ground clearance is done.
Right, and my car is lowered. I mean, I didn't go crazy, but it's lowered, right?
Yeah.
And you really got to think when you drive it a lot. Like, you have to think.
Yeah.
You have to know where you're going. You have to be very careful. And I've done a lot of things. I put the piston lift kit on my coilovers.
Mm-hmm.
For, like, I have a Fortune Auto set when they used to build that high lift thing, so I can get the fronts up, 3.5 inches, which is cool to, like. But it's not. You can't drive like that, right?
Nope.
And the car's it's pretty, taut in the suspension as far as, it's dampening to make sure that I don't have a lot of compression. So, it's, you got to think. You can't go through potholes, a million miles an hour. Your teeth will fall out. You can't just randomly pull up to railroad tracks that are too big. You can't go through parking lots that have big dips in them on some ends. You got to watch your speed bumps for sure. Driveways, inclines, like, so, there is a little bit of a pressure thing when you drive that car to not screw it up, right?
And that's going to make it really hard to drive on the track too, because
I think it will be okay.
You think so? Because I think knowing you're going to be aiming. I think you're going to be aiming for those apexes, and those curves are going to get.
I don't think that I'll be doing that with a car that I want to keep and whatever. But I do think there's tracks that I really will have a good time with the car on, like Lime Rock, and so I have some thought of trying to get to some of those, not to set records, to go drive the car and really, like, do what I think it's meant to do. And I think that car should be pretty good. I don't think that, I think I've gotten rid of pretty much most of the oversteer with that car. And that should make it feel a little bit more tamed. Yeah. But, man, there's only one way to find out now.
Yeah, no. So I know you're always pitching for the ideas for something we should do. I think Scott's Cars drag race would be was going to be the perfect episode. We rent out the quarter mile. We bring all of your cars. We bring Fisher's Miata, Dow's cars, my cars, and we all just do a drag day, and that's the video content.
I'm going to need a 9-car hauler to get
you just get a whole 18-wheeler to bring us down.
Oh man. Anyhow, all right. Let's start
yeah, perfect.
Up. What was for those out there? What kind of what's your favorite cars? What was your worst car? Let us know what you think about it. Interesting to hear about it. I think that it's just an absolute interesting thing to think about all the cars you've owned and all the cars you've driven. And if you had them all in front of you today, what would you keep? What do you love? What are you like? What was I doing?
My Z.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
You keep the Z.
Keep my Z. If you had to choose one of yours, what's your...
One last question before
okay.
I whatever, because I just came to me and I don't want to lose it.
Okay.
Your car's been down for a little bit now.
7 years.
Okay. This has happened to me before, and this is why I'm asking the question, so nobody beat me up for trying to sandbag you. Do you think that there's a possibility that as good as you think your car it can be, that you're going to get the car back on the road, different things, you've now aged 6 or 7 years more, do you think there's a possibility that you've done all the things of making the car much better than it ever was in your head, and by the time you actually get it built the way you want it now, it won't measure up to that?
There's a fear of that, but that's also why I've tried to march with technology. So I had a completely different plan when the car went down. My original plan was to get the RB rebuilt and do that, and it changed, it evolved, and now as technology has increased, and then new plans have solidified.
And
now
I think they're cool.
The concern is,
I do think they're cool. I think that I know what your build plan is, and I really do think it's going to be a crazy build. I just
got to get it done. That's the hard part.
We should do it. I mean, the hard part is the parts, though, right?
Yes. And here's the thing. I'm actually, this is off topic. I mean, it's on camera. So I'm trying to get the Haltech right now. Mm-hmm. Jill and I were discussing it. We're just trying to get the kitchen done and all that. And then probably going to pull the trigger on that, get the harness. And then I have to start wiring that whole engine. Mm-hmm. So that's going to take me probably.
Because the engine's in the car now.
Engine's on motor mounts sitting in the car.
What about turbos and stuff?
They're on the car. They're on the engine.
So what about trans? Have we gotten the trans yet?
No. So the manual trans, I still have a CD09 in the car on the engine.
But you're now going to go, am I giving it away? We're going to go
8 HP, I haven't hidden it.
Yeah, we're going to go to 8 HP automatic.
So I was looking at 8 HPs last night. 8 HP 75 out of a Quadrifoglio.
Okay.
So
you could also get them out of Chargers and trucks.
Correct. But the particular kit that LOJ offers uses that particular bell housing already. So I already know the kits. Everything is literally just working and saving up money and paying bills and then buying the parts and then doing the job. But sadly, the G37, the daily transmission swap comes first. And that's the thing is,
that's something that will be done in a day, a weekend.
It's a weekend. Because while I'm in there, I'm replacing the drive shaft. I'm doing diff bushings while I'm in there. So it's popping the diff out, doing that. So there's projects that I'm doing while I'm in there. But other than that, I was planning on spending the weekend doing it and having it back, ready to run.
It's always my fear with projects that go down for a long time.
Yeah.
That my tastes and my remembrance of those cars is going to change. It happened to me recently. A DSM that I put together, even though it was not my favorite one or whatever it was, but it was, and I remember the car being very good. Got my hands on it. And friends like, yo, just go drive it. You'll love it. And it did not. It wasn't what I thought. It wasn't what I remember.
I mean, that's why I pulled the trigger on some of this stuff with like staying manual. And that's kind of why I changed to automatic, because I wanted something that as I got older, like even if this takes me another 2-3 years to finish, in that amount of time, I'm not going to go, oh, you know what? I want to go back to manual because I've made that decision. Like, hey, I want this for something that in 20 years I can still get in drive.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about a clutch. I don't have to worry about, as much as I would love to have that be the manual car, I can always build something that's different for that.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. I think it's going to be a good project. I think it'll be fun. All right, so back to what we were saying to you. Before we get out of here, let us know what you think down below in the comments there. What's your favorite car? What's your worst car? If you lined them all up today, what do you think would change in your opinion from how you felt about those cars in yesteryear? Yeah.
And why do you feel that way about the cars? I think that's more important because I don't think it's just the car itself. I mean, I think as you can say, like even with my experience, it was a great car, but because of what happened, I don't think I'll ever own an Evo again.
You know, and isn't it a real shame when you like love a car so much, but then when you drive it, you're like you're just like, man, I love this car, but I don't want this car. It almost feels like when you meet your real life celebrity crush and they suck.
Yep, I get that.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah,
a little bit like that.
A little bit like that. All right, we'll catch you next week.
How we going?